Welcome back to the deep dive, where we take your sources and, well, we deliver the essential insights you need, all perfectly packaged.
And today, we are going deep, really deep.
Yes, deep into some ancient wisdom. We're drawing exclusively from the teachings in Gita 6 English, and we're focusing on Chapter 6, Atmasyama Yoga.
Or the yoga of self-control.
And our mission here isn't just, intellectual, it's deeply practical. We want to uncover the ancient secrets to controlling what might be the most restless thing in the entire universe.
Your own mind.
Exactly. We're trying to move beyond just nodding along with the philosophy and find out how to realize equanimity as a living, felt experience.
It's important to set the stage, though. You have to remember the context. This chapter, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes right after Krishna has cleared up a huge confusion for Arjuna.
Right. Arjuna thought escaping his duty, renouncing everything, was the superior path.
He did. And Krishna had to explain that Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, and Karma Yoga, the path of action, they actually lead to the same place.
So if they lead to the same result, why this whole chapter dedicated to practical control?
Because for most of us, for the vast majority of people, karma yoga, that path of selfless action, is the prescribed means. It's more beneficial for our immediate welfare.
You can't just sit still and declare yourself enlightened.
You can't. The mind has to be purified first. And this chapter, it's the blueprint for that internal purification.
And this brings us to the first just huge insight, the one that redefines everything. The Gita completely challenges the common idea of what renunciation is.
Oh, absolutely.
It teaches that being truly renounced has very little to do with abandoning the world, and so much more to do with what you abandon inside your own head. So, okay, let's unpack that.
Well, when you think of a sannyasi or renunciate, what's the image that comes to mind?
Someone who's, given up all their money, maybe they've gone to a cave, abandoned all the rituals, that's a traditional picture.
That's the external act, yes. But Krishna offers this really revolutionary redefinition. He says very clearly that the person who performs their duties, their job, their responsibilities,
But does it without attachment to the results?
that's the key. Without attachment to the fruits of the action, that person is both a sannyasi and a true yogi. Just, abandoning the ritual fires on the outside, that's not enough for real growth.
And that leads to this really important warning in the text, which is if you try to flee your worldly struggles with a weak mind, you don't find freedom.
No, you often you degenerate, you stagnate. You absolutely have to face the struggle. The flight has to be internal.
And the key thing to abandon internally is something called sankalpa.
Yes, sankalpa. It's a very rich term. It means those volitional projections born of attachment.
So it's more than just a passing thought.
Much more. It's the detailed inner blueprint of how you want things to turn out. It's the future fantasies, the hopes, the anxieties, the dislikes that are constantly running in your mind and, deciding whether you're happy or not.
So it's that emotional investment in how things must unfold. You're attached before it even happens.
Exactly. When a yogi successfully renounces this inner planning, this expectation, their mind can achieve equanimity no matter what's happening on the outside. And that's why they're seen as the same. The one who renounces sankalpa and the one who does their duty without caring about success or failure. They're both free.
Okay, so selfless action, nishkama karma yoga is the main tool. How does doing something without wanting a reward actually clean your mind?
It's the mechanism.
Yeah.
It's how you dissolve those accumulated karmic impressions, the vathanas. The second you act without a self-centered desire, you stop creating new mental baggage.
And the old baggage.
It gets slowly exhausted through experience. That's how you establish perfect equanimity or samabhuti. It's primarily through action.
The analogy in the text makes this so much clearer. Let's say the mind is a clay pot,
Okay?
and the vasanas, the stored actions, are like a dye that has soaked into the pores of that pot.
Right. So if you try external renunciation, leaving your job, going to the mountains, that's like just rubbing the surface of the pot. It's not getting the dye out.
And what about the path of knowledge, Jhana?
Jnana is like an intense fire. It can dry out the pigment, maybe even char it, but often a little trace remains, deep in the pores. It's powerful, but not always complete.
But nishkama karma?
That's the clear water.
Yeah.
You're repeatedly washing the pot over and over with every selfless action. You accept duty after duty without looking for personal gain, and that fully, patiently removes the embedded color.
So it's a deep clean.
It's a very thorough purification. It exhausts the old dye and makes sure no new dye gets poured in. That's why for anyone starting this journey, selfless action is just. It's fundamental.
We've defined the battle, so how do we win it?
Yeah.
Krishna gives this fascinating blueprint of our internal structure. He says, make your own welfare by your own means. Don't be your own ruin.
You are your own friend or your own enemy.
So what's the decider? What determines which one you are?
It's all about the control mechanism. You have to understand the internal hierarchy. Imagine it like a staircase.
Okay.
At the bottom, you have the body, then the senses, then the mind, then the intellect or buddhi, then the inner self, and at the very top, the supreme.
And the mind is right in the middle, the pivot point.
Exactly. It's sitting right between the lower pull of the senses and the higher guidance of the intellect. If the mind tilts down toward the body and senses, it becomes your enemy. It descends. But if it's restrained and turns upward toward the intellect and the self, it becomes your friend. It helps you rise. And that choice, whether you rise or fall, is completely within your control.
Okay, but how do you get that initial leverage? If the mind is this restless, turbulent thing like a runaway horse, how do you even begin to turn it around toward the intellect?
The leverage comes from realizing the consequences. The person ruled by their senses, they just work without any thought of long-term profit or loss, honor or dishonor. They're sacrificing lasting good for a quick, fleeting bit of gratification.
And that erodes your inner power.
It erodes everything. The text even connects it to physical health. It says worry and agitation cause the nervous system to create harmful secretions. It says worry is like a pyre.
That is a powerful image. Every time we give in to anxiety or a craving, we're lighting this little internal fire that's just burning up our energy.
That's the cost of having the mind as an enemy. The self-mastered person, on the other hand, is completely unperturbed. They have equanimity in all the dualities, heat and cold, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor.
Because the self is set above it all.
Right. And the ultimate sign of this isn't just some abstract piece, it's very real. The realized yogi looks at a lump of clay, a stone, and a piece of gold, and sees them as being alike.
The value judgment is just gone.
It's gone. That sense of this is precious versus this is worthless dirt has disappeared. But even more profound than that is what's called the equality of vision.
Tell us about that, because seeing clay and gold as the same is one thing, but the text takes it much further.
It's the highest level. It means looking with equal regard upon a learned Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even a Shundalan outcast.
That is deeply counterintuitive.
It is for the worldly mind. But this isn't about treating everyone the same on the outside. It's the inner attitude. The yogi sees the same spark of the Supreme Self dwelling equally in all of them, no matter their body, their status, their form.
So true mastery is seeing the underlying reality, not the surface packaging. And that takes practice, deep, dedicated practice. Meditation or dhyana.
Precisely. Intellectual agreement is not enough. Equanimity has to be a living experience. And Krishna knows this, so he gives these incredibly precise, almost technical instructions for how to meditate.
Okay, let's get into the specifics. The setup. What does he say about the seat?
The instructions are quite detailed. The seat has to be on a clean place, not too high, not too low. And it should be made of kusa grass, a deer skin, and a cloth.
Now, the materials sound a bit ancient.
They do, but the principle is timeless. It's about insulation from the ground, it's about stability, and it's about preserving your subtle, vital energy, your prana.
That makes sense. We might not all be using deer skin, but the lesson is to eliminate distractions and get physically stable so you can become internally stable.
Yes. And the posture is also specific. Body, head, and neck aligned and motionless. Spine straight. And the gaze. The gaze is to be gently fixed at the tip of the nose.
To avoid looking around.
To avoid visual distraction and pull all that energy inward.
This all sounds incredibly disciplined, but the text is also clear that this focus is basically worthless if the rest of your life is chaotic. It stresses moderation.
Absolutely. It says yoga only suits the moderate person, the yatha yoga. It completely rejects extremes. It's not for the overeater or the person who starves themselves. Not for the one who sleeps too much or who is always sleepless.
So Krishna was warning against both extreme asceticism and modern burnout culture thousands of years ago.
You could say that. It's about sustainable high performance through balance. Yoga only destroys that inner pain for the temperate person, the one with regulated activity and proper sleep. If your life is a mess, your mind will be a mess when you sit to meditate.
And when you finally achieve that moderation, that discipline, what does success feel like?
The text gives this perfect serene metaphor. When the air of attachments is gone, the mind becomes steady, like a lamp in a windless place.
I love this.
It's a perfect image for stability, and the result is this super sensible joy, A bliss that's so deep and satisfying that the yogi is just unperturbed by ordinary worldly happiness or sorrow. The end result is supreme, abiding peace.
Okay, but let's be honest. Arjuna speaks for every single one of us who's ever tried this. He says controlling the mind is like trying to hold back the wind. It's restless, it's turbulent, it's so hard to restrain.
And Krishna doesn't deny it. He absolutely agrees. He says, yes, the mind is turbulent, but then he gives us the two essential tools for mastering it:
Abhyasa and Vaigar.
persistent practice and dispassion.
Let's define those. Abhyasa is that repeated, patient effort of pulling the mind back from distractions and redirecting it inward.
Correct. And vairagya is the detachment that starts to arise through that practice. And the order is critical. You don't wait for detachment to just show up one day. Practice abhyasa has to come first. The detachment, the vairagya, follows naturally as the mind just loses interest in the things it no longer chases.
This all leads to a huge metaphysical question. I think it's one that worries anyone on a spiritual path. What if you try really hard, you're sincere, you have faith, but you just fall short at the end? Does all that effort just disappear?
This is one of the most powerful, most comforting assurances in the entire Gita. Krishna promises that no one who strives for self-realization is ever ruined or lost. Spiritual effort is never, ever wasted.
So the fallen practitioner isn't condemned.
Not at all. That person attains noble births. They're reborn into the homes of the virtuous, or even better, into families of accomplished yogis. And this is because of the effect of samskaras.
Right, the samskaras. These deep, latent impressions we carry across lives.
Think of it like muscle memory for the soul. The discipline, the effort you put in now, it doesn't vanish at death. It gets carried forward. And those samskaras make you spontaneously inclined towards spiritual life in the next one. You can just resume the path more easily.
So it's cumulative. It's not a one-shot pass-fail test.
Exactly. It's an unfolding across lifetimes.
Yeah.
But, and this is a big but, the text also endorses the effortful practitioner. The one who really applies themselves now can exhaust their old karmas and attain liberation in this very life. The assurance is for comfort, but the call to action is for right now.
So what's the final synthesis?
The final synthesis of Chapter 6 is that the yogi who integrates all of this, knowledge, dispassion, selfless action, is superior to the simple ascetic, or the scholar, or the ritualist. And so the final command is clear: become a yogi.
And the absolute peak of that path.
Among all the yogis, the supreme one is the person who combines all that discipline with steadfast devotion and complete inner surrender. Fixing the mind on the supreme and devoting the heart to the Lord. That bhakti, that devotion, elevates everything.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? I think Chapter 6 offers this stern realism about how wild the mind is, but also this profound consolation that your sincere effort, your abhyasa and vairagya, is never wasted. Your self-uplift is cumulative. You're either making your mind your best friend or your worst enemy, and that choice is there in every single moment.
And remember, the realized yogi sees the supreme in all beings, and all beings in the supreme. For them, God is manifest in every single form, even the ones others disregard. So if your effort accumulates across lifetimes, what simple abhyasa, what small, patient, repeated discipline can you start today that will define the trajectory of the rest of this life and maybe, just maybe, the next? Hari Om Tat Sat.